What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Mike Dolce Show. Again, I'm excited you're here. Today, it is Ask Mike Day, where we put a call out to those of you inside our community. You can text the word podcast to the number below and become a part of our larger community. We'll put you in the podcast list. You'll get a notification when these episodes come out, but also I will ask you on Fridays, usually Friday, what questions do you want to ask Mike? And I'll do my best to give you an answer. I mean, the answer is going to be worth what you pay for it. And last time I checked, these are absolutely free. So let's have a little bit of fun. Now, before we get going, make sure you check out my free 3-day shred download. You want to lose 10 pounds in the next 3 days? Well, I wrote a free PDF for you guys as a gift to you. It's a simple resource where if you want to look awesome by the weekend, you want to drop a few pounds, you want to clean up the diet, you want to jumpstart your weight loss, you got something coming up, you're going on a date, a job interview, spring break maybe, wedding, you just need to lose a couple pounds to fit into that little dress or the suit or the shorts, or just put your best foot forward. Check out that 3-day shred, totally free manual. Click that link below. Let me hook you up. Now, let's jump into question number one. Question number one comes from Joe Garza. Joe says, can you recommend a diet for someone who needs to lose 40 pounds? Joe, I did this. I already did this for you, my man. I did this for you last week on our Instagram and Twitter pages. Make sure you follow us at The Dolce Diet. I wrote this massive post on exactly what I would do if I needed to lose 40 pounds in the next 4 months. I actually did a podcast on it too, the Mike Dolce Show audio podcast. I did like a full 40 minutes on the exact topic. So I'll put a link below to the podcast and the Instagram channels. Go check that out. How I would lose 40 pounds in the next 4 months. Mikey Avia says, is sex considered aerobic exercise? Well, this also could be considered high intensity interval training. Depending on your partner, it could be considered progressive overload, right? What could it be? Now, in general, I would say yes. We call it horizontal cardio here in the Dolce household, not in the company, of course, because that would get the HR team a little upset. Again, having jokes here. But yes, if you are performing satisfactorily between the sheets with your significant other, hopefully your consensual adult relations will be of or at the aerobic threshold. At best, you should be in the LIS range, which is doubling your resting heart rate. But ideally, you should probably be getting up somewhere into zone 3 or so. Zone 3 cardio would be getting us somewhere closer to 140 beats per minute. And if you and your training partner are highly skilled, well, you should be performing this for a minimum of 20 minutes. I mean, right, ladies? 20 minutes minimum. Come on. Most days, not all days, I understand. But maybe even as much as 40 minutes. Now, some of you might have the marathon in you every so often. I say this to understand when we talk about aerobic activity, we need to consider simply what is our heart rate and the duration with which we keep that heart rate higher. Hopefully, you're keeping that heart rate above 90 beats per minute for at least 20 minutes. But maybe we can extend that a little longer and get that heart rate a little higher. And now you might actually be burning body fat while you are training. We'll say training. Next question comes from Kristen Rosemond. She says, I'm really struggling with discipline and commitment. Knowing consistency is key and motivation wanes. I know what to do, but struggling with just doing it. Kristen, I think we need to reframe your whole psychology here. Motivation is not magic, and motivation in many ways does not exist. And that is probably the conclusion we should start with. There is no such thing as motivation. You will not wake up and the motivation fairy sprinkles a little pixie dust on you and you pop out of bed just ready to go and do your 5 a.m. fasted list. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen to me. Every day when I wake up, oh, I'm tired. I'm sore. My bed is so comfy and warm. I just want to stay here all day. But F that noise. I have work to do. I have goals to accomplish. And even though I'm sore and I'm tired, I do the work anyway. Motivation is simply being consistent. And so let's forget about motivation and let's simply talk about consistency. And you said knowing consistency is key and motivation wanes. So, Kristen, you know exactly what I'm saying. You've listened to me before. All we need to do is do the thing we need to do. And people say, Dolce, it's not that simple. No, it is that simple. You only need to do the thing that needs doing. That's it. It doesn't matter how you feel. I don't care how you feel. I don't care how I feel. I only care if the thing gets done. Because at the end of the day, doing the thing is the only thing that matters. It doesn't matter how you feel beforehand, because afterwards you're happy, right? Afterwards, you feel fulfilled. Afterwards, you feel prideful. Afterwards, you feel accomplished. Afterwards, you feel satisfied. So going into it, you're going to feel crappy. Expect to feel crappy. I expect to feel crappy every day. I expect my mind to play tricks on me 1,000 times before I do anything. The difference is we simply do it. Not to steal the Nike quote, but boy, they had a good marketing team at that time. Just do it. Do it. Do it. Ooh. Will Nordsiek says, how do you homeschool? What does it look like? This is a great question. Slightly off, but not quite the health and fitness topic. We did decide to homeschool our children. We entered our oldest daughter into school, the same school I had gone to, a private Catholic school, going into what was pre-kindergarten, PK4 they called it, for 4-year-olds. And one of our good family friends was the teacher, Mrs. Tallarico. She's amazing. She's since moved on, and that also matters in this equation. Well, that was 2019, and my oldest daughter had such an amazing school year, filled with love and just education and great things. But it was part-time. It was half days, 3 days per week, just an introduction. And our youngest stayed home with us, being 3 years old. Then COVID hit. We initially entered both girls into the same private Catholic school system, which is better than every other public school in the area by far, and most of the other private schools by far. Better education, better faculty, better student to teacher ratio, better curriculum, just better parent involvement, just better all the way across the board. We're very happy with the school. Then COVID hit and politics entered the school system and corporate lobbyists entered the decision-making matrix for my family and my children. And then all of a sudden, they had mandated, the New Jersey Board of Education had mandated my children be sitting inside plastic cages with masks wrapped around their face, socially distanced 6 feet from all their friends, where they couldn't give hugs and they couldn't hold hands. They couldn't play one-on-one together. They had to stand in circles like caged animals. And within 2 weeks of seeing that happen, my wife and I pulled our children from school. And we did not know what we were going to do. We just knew we were not going to do that. We will not expose our children to the lunacy of what was happening in the world. And my wife and I, we dove down the homeschool rabbit hole. We went onto Facebook groups and message boards and online curriculum, and we found the laws inside our state, how to homeschool. And what we noticed was, well, we can basically do whatever we want. Now, my wife has her master's degree in communications and her bachelor's in journalism. So she's an educated lady. She loves school and academia and the school system, and she'll probably go on to get her PhD and maybe teach at the university level one day after we've done raising our children. So we have an academic household. Myself, I work in the math and science fields. I deem myself a scientist. I work in the health and fitness community, and I'm one of the most acclaimed members in this community. Clearly, this is a matter of science, not happenstance. With our daughters, what we did, we chose programs that followed our state curriculum. And also, in a short period of time, we realized how simple that was, how easy that was. So then we started adding on advanced mathematics protocols or curriculum and advanced science. And then we found STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, And we want our children to go down, our daughters to go through the STEM fields. I would love for my daughters to be engineers or doctors, to really go down that field. And if nothing else, to give them the opportunities at such a young age to pursue those careers should they find an aptitude and an interest as they get later on in life. So we've started them very early down the STEM fields, and we added on STEM. Now, Elon Musk had actually started a homeschool curriculum called Synthesis. We immediately enrolled our daughters into Synthesis, in addition to our in-home school training, which was state certified, our state mimicking curriculum. And then we also added on a Catholic-based education curriculum. So our daughters were following 3 different curriculum that is age appropriate. And what we found was, in less than 45 minutes per day of intentional education of each of our daughters were able to far exceed what their classmates were doing, because we're still members of the Facebook groups of our daughters' ages, because we started those Facebook groups because that's who we are as people. My wife and I started the Facebook groups. We moderate the Facebook groups. So we see everything that's happening in the Facebook groups. And we saw what my daughter's peers were learning and what my daughters were learning in homeschool classes over time. So now my daughters are a full 2 years ahead of their classmates. My 8-year-old is reading. She's a 3rd grader. She's reading at a 6th grade to 8th grade level right now, performing math at that same level. My youngest is performing, she's a 1st grader, performing 4th and 5th grade reading and mathematics. And I only say this, I'm going a little longer here to give a more robust explanation for any parent who might be on the fence. We did not know what we were doing out of the gate. And in a very short period of time, because we were intentional, we figured out what to do. And we knew as long as we cared about our daughters and we cared about their education, they were going to be fine. So less than an hour per day, and it's really maybe 4 days per week of intentional education, less than 1 hour per day. Our daughters do not have to sit like most kids. Most kids have to sit in the classroom for 6 hours per day, 5 days per week. Many schools, it's 7 hours per day, 5 days per week. And if you think about that, the vast majority of that time, they're not learning anything. They're learning how to stand there in line and shut up. They're learning how to stand there and wait. They're learning how to sit quietly. They're learning how to not be taught while the teacher is spending all of her time working with the lowest common denominator in that class, dealing with the Bart Simpson and the Eric Cartmans of that class, not teaching in an intentional way that is appropriate to the individual abilities of your children, of my children to learn. My wife and I know exactly how our children learn. And every day we learn better how to teach them better in an intentional manner that is clear and focused and direct. And we also have the ability to teach them at a time of day when they are most open to learning. And we're able to set up our day and cultivate our day in a manner that we can actually teach our children, have school time. Mommy school is what we call it, because Brandy does most of the education. We can teach them at a time and in a manner that they are most receptive to learning. Also, we do not have to go through the chaos of wake up time. Our children wake up naturally. There is no alarm clock in my house. My children wake up naturally. They don't have to wake up to shower and eat Cheerios and get ready for school and hustle, bustle, rush out of the house. They don't have to worry about that. We don't have to worry about that. My children wake up naturally. So when they wake up naturally, they're much happier. They're in a much better mood. They're much more rested. They're much healthier. There's no stress. There's no early morning stress in my household. Our mornings, and parents, think about this. Think about if every morning in your house was a Sunday morning where there's nothing on the schedule and your children can just wake up naturally. They come downstairs. We start their day very simply. We make breakfast. We talk. We open all the windows. We get sunlight in. We go sit on the deck or sit on the porch, or we do all the things that I talk about here on our channel. With our daughters, we normalize that low stress type of mentality and lifestyle. Also, nighttime. We don't stress about having our kids go to bed. Our kids have a natural sleep routine that is not predicated upon a hard wake up time the next morning, because children need to sleep more than adults do, because children are still growing. Adults are not. So I give all this information so you can see and hear me speak very openly and very honestly and very transparently about our homeschool experience and how amazing it is. And at first we said, hey, we're going to do this during COVID. And then it worked out so well. COVID's over. Back to school. We said, there's no way we can put our children back in this school system, because as good as that school was, our children are going to walk in and be bored because they're already so far advanced above their classmates. And that's not to say my children are the smartest children in the world. That's not to say that. They might be. But that simply is saying this system of education is much better suited to bring out the learning ability of each individual child, much better than the general education archetype that we see right now that is failing. If you look at every education metric, you see it is failing, and it's failing horrifically. So if any parent is on the fence, please feel free to contact me directly. You can DM me on Instagram, or you can contact through Gabby, Gabby at thedolcediet.com. Ask a question. Gabby will just send it directly to me. Just put homeschool in the subject. I'm happy to answer any questions on that. We will likely send our children back to school in high school, possibly. And at that point, they'll likely be in the advanced classes, which the opportunity for advanced classes in high school is much greater than in elementary school. And that's what we're looking at right now. But they'll likely be taking college courses, and they're already starting to work, because I'm an entrepreneur. We're an entrepreneurial family. Our children are already working for and in and on our business. We're teaching our daughters how to rule the world, how to rule their world, how to create their life. I do not want my daughters to be W-2 employees as adults. My daughters will be, they're not W-2, they're 1099 employees or 1099 consultants inside one of our companies. But they will be W-2 employees scooping ice cream cones and sweeping floors and bussing tables and doing all of the other little kid 12, 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old shit jobs. So they will learn work ethic. They will start in the basement of many other businesses, not just while working inside ours. So they have that broader, greater exposure. So then when they are in their late teens and early 20s and go through their college years, when they come out, they'll be very clear of mind in what they want to do in the world, and they will understand what it takes to be a leader in that industry, to be an owner in that industry. So that is that's the longest answer of probably this whole show. Now, next question, moving on. How is Colby Covington's cardio so good? Jordan asks, is it diet? Is it training protocol? Colby Covington, one of the top welterweights in the entire world, is known for his amazing cardio. Colby's cardio, everyone talks about. Chael Sonnen recently spoke about it. And we didn't quite see Colby's cardio on display in his most recent fight, which is a title loss against reigning champion Leon Edwards. Well, briefly, what happened? I think the issue with Colby was not his cardio, it was ring rust. And ring rust is real. I've seen that. I felt that. And working with so many athletes, when you're out of the competitive fray for so long, it gets hard to get back in there. And Colby, unfortunately, he was out for so long, over a year. I think it was hard, and he had the ring rust, and he had the ring rust against one of the best. Leon Edwards, I'm a Leon fan. Leon Edwards, I can't say he's one of the greatest welterweight champions yet because he hasn't defended enough times. We have Tyron Woodley, we have Kamaru Usman. So Leon is on par. I mean, then we have a George St. Pierre, of course, and a Matt Hughes we can even look back to. But Leon is up there. Leon's good. Colby went up against Leon. Colby lost a lopsided decision, I would say, against Leon. Leon didn't smoke him, but he just was a step ahead the whole time. But now Colby's cardio, throughout Colby Covington's career, why was his cardio so good? Well, I know Colby. I like Colby. I was at American Top Team working with some of their athletes when Colby Covington first came to the gym, and I was there, and I saw this green behind the ears wrestler from Oregon walk into the room and start smashing people. His cardio was top notch, but Colby's cardio was top notch because his work ethic is top notch. And say what you will about Colby Covington, but do not say that this young man does not work hard. Colby Covington, when he walks in the gym and steps on the mat, ties up his boots, Colby is ready to work, and he worked. I never saw Colby take a step backwards. I never saw Colby sit out a round. I never saw Colby go easy. So why is Colby Covington's cardio so good? His cardio is so good because he works his ass off, and he doesn't make excuses. He does not let himself fall out of shape. Is his diet good? I'm sure it's good. I don't know what his diet is. It's good. Is his lifestyle? It's good. Now, genetically, I'd say Colby has these genetics. Physically, he's a specimen, but everyone in the top 5 has the same genetics, give or take. Are Colby's genetics any better than George St. Pierre's or Kamaru Usman's or Tyron Woodley's? No. Same, different. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. They're all elite up there. It's Colby's work ethic that makes him so spectacular. That is the most honest answer. The amount of work that young man puts in that I've seen with my own 2 eyes. And I can only imagine as they started adding zeros to the back of his paycheck, and as he started getting more and more commas added to his paychecks and net worth, his work ethic continued to increase. But I will say now, after seeing the last fight, the question will remain, can Colby Covington bounce back from that loss? Well, he bounced back from the 2 losses to Kamaru Usman. And he came back, I felt, better than ever. After a year of ring rust, we need to give Colby the benefit of the doubt. And now we need to see how he comes back. Tony Ferguson, we gave him the benefit of the doubt. And let's talk about Tony Ferguson and David Goggins briefly. I put a video out a few weeks ago about David Goggins gone mad because Goggins was training with Tony Ferguson 4 or 5 weeks before this bout last weekend. And I said, listen, Tony Ferguson training with David Goggins will be a good thing for Tony Ferguson 10 years down the road when Tony's reflecting back on his life and he's dealing with challenges in his current day. He'll remember the things he did with Goggins that built a level of mental toughness that Tony will keep with him forever. But as the 4-time world MMA trainer of the year, I will also say this, and I said this, Tony Ferguson will suffer in this fight against Paddy Pimblett because of his training with David Goggins, because David Goggins is training Tony to be slow. And MMA is fast. MMA is explosive. MMA is short. David Goggins trained Tony Ferguson to be slow and long and endure. David Goggins trained Tony Ferguson to survive, not to kill. And that's the difference. Even someone as accomplished as David Goggins does not know the sport of MMA like an MMA athlete does or an MMA coach does. You can't take an MMA coach and put him into a bunch of Navy SEALs and expect that MMA coach to train the Navy SEALs appropriately. He'll give them good, hard workouts for sure, but they're not going to be appropriate or specific for the task of a SEAL. Just like a David Goggins will give Tony Ferguson very rigorous, hard, challenging workouts, but those workouts very clearly were not appropriate for the performance of a mixed martial artist performing 3 5-minute rounds. Simple. It's so simple. And anyone, and I had quite a few of the top coaches reach out to me after I posted that video in full agreement. And they were kind of shocked that I would, quote, go against Goggins. I'm not going against Goggins. I'm just speaking the fact. I don't know Goggins. I like some of the stuff I see Goggins put out, and some of the stuff I don't agree with, which is fair. I don't agree with some of the stuff he puts out because a lot of it is only for David. It's only for David. And David's broken. And David has talked about that. I've read David's book. David's book, Can't Hurt Me, was part of the Dolce Book Club. And if you want to be a member of the Dolce Book Club, send Gabby an email, gabby@thedolce.com. I think we have 1,000 members or so inside of our book club, by the way. But that was one of the books, and we all read that together, and there was great stories. But inside, David very clearly speaks about the trauma he suffered as a child, and someone like David training the way he does is trying to purge the traumas of his past. That style of training is not appropriate for the vast majority of people that did not suffer the same trauma or did not filter that same trauma in the same manner that a Goggins did. So much of the way David Goggins trains is not for athletic performance. He's using that as emotional therapy. And once you understand that, then it makes a lot more sense. So I can respect and appreciate what Goggins does for himself, but I would never suggest or endorse that style of training for the vast majority of the population, especially when we're talking about general fitness or more specifically, elite sports performance. Just doesn't work. So, guys and gals, thank you. Remember, down below, get that 3-day shred free guide. Get that. It's totally free. How to lose 10 pounds in 3 days. I wrote it just for you. Make sure you listen to the Mike Dolce Show audio podcast on Spotify and iTunes. I'll put the link below that. What else do we have? Instagram and yes, Twitter. Check that stuff out. Remember how to lose 40 pounds in 40 days. And right now, if you listen to this right now, this is December 22nd. If you listen to this before Christmas, I'm going to give you a 50% discount at thedolcediet.com. I'll put that link below, and then it will change. 50% off our 3 weeks to shredded program and our living lean program. The 4-week or the 12-week programs, 50% off as a Christmas gift to you. Give the gift of health. 50% off with promo code HOLIDAY50, all one word, no spaces, at thedolcediet.com. Again, that link below. What an amazing gift to gift someone. Give them the gift of health. What a great little stocking stuffer. Print out a little card, give them something, let them know, hey mom, hey dad, hey wife, hey husband, hey son, hey daughter, hey coworker, hey teammate, hey coach, I got you that Dolce Diet 12-week program. And I'm going to do it with you. I got 2 of them because it's a 2-for-1 sale right now. 50% off, promo code HOLIDAY50. That link's below. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being here. And until next time, don't count calories. Make calories count. Boom.